Right, so I decided that how, since I made a video last week on this Mortal Coil, I think it would be appropriate to talk about the other big concert that we had just before it, which was the Metal Maze Festival. It had a pre-show on the 21st of June 2024, and the actual show itself was on the 22nd of June 2024, which is a little more than 2 weeks before this Mortal Coil by Lynchpin. The pre-show consisted of UK band Skullfox, the Supernova band, and Psychic Envy, and it was in Skyview Lounge in San Fernando, of which I did not attend, and the actual show itself took place on Rockback on the Bay, Shagaramas. And the lineup consisted of Skullfox, Beyond the Animus, Fighting with the Noise, Klavium, and Phoebe Sun. Originally, I wasn't going to go to this event because I had this Mortal Coil to attend to, like literally just around the corner. And I didn't want to like overwork myself for that, but literally 3 hours before Metal Maze, I decided I wanted to go, and I'm so glad that I did, because I had a great time at that concert. What I love about Metal Maze is that how it was, like, for the most part, a full metal lineup. I mean, yeah, it had softer bands too, but at least they still fit within the realm of metal. They wasn't like 100% metal, but they still fit within the realm of metal. And the only non-metal band it had there was Psychic Envy, and they stepped up their game and they sounded like a little bit more heavier than they normally perform. They did their best to make up some sort of maze at the entrance, and you know, given what they had to work with, it come out alright. Every single one of those acts had the good vibes going. The first act that came up was Phoebe Sun. It was the first time I was listening to them, and it wasn't the first time I heard deathcore live, but it was like the first time I heard specifically traditional deathcore, especially the deep growls, and I just was like, yes, this is the type of like growls that I want to hear in a metal band. Don't get me wrong, Lynchpin does do a similar thing, but they do a more high-pitched type of thing, whereas this one is of like the deep visceral growls. The frontman, Fate, I can't remember his name. He and I like, I real proud of that dude. I'm glad what he's doing, like he's setting up the standards of what like deathcore is supposed to be in Trinidad, what brutal death metal is supposed to be in Trinidad and Tobago. The next band to perform, I believe, was Psychic Envy. They wasn't supposed to perform that night in Shagaramas. They was cool. Then I believe it was Fighting with the Noise, and normally their vibe is like stoner doom metal, but for Metal Maze, they kind of mellow out a little bit, and you know what? I'm fine with that. They're testing out what it is they want to do with the band. And that's okay, that's fine, but at least it wasn't like too melodic and it didn't really ruin the vibes. I believe that Beyond the Animus came up next. Now, Beyond the Animus was metalcore, and they did this type of thing where they do stuff like classic metalcore, but they had little elements, but they had like the little techno-y elements, and I didn't like that so much, but at least it was few and fine between. Ironically though, I think one of the best moments I ever had with a concert was with Beyond the Animus, because the frontman made a reference to Aggressive, the song Aggressive by Beartooth, with the last song he was performing. I was busy out there like headbanging and like enjoying the vibes and getting the good mood going and everything, like continuing off the amazing acts before me. And just out of nowhere, I hear Caleb Shomo lyrics coming out of this dude's mouth in a song. It was an original song, but he made a reference to it. It like literally took me a while to realize what it was, and it's like I just stopped headbanging. My mind was just like, okay, I scanned in my head. I heard that before. Where have I heard that before? And it's like, Beartooth. And after his set was done, I went backstage and talked to the dude, and I was like, I told him, you just listen to Beartooth. You just freaking listen. He's like, yes, he loved that album and everything. It's like, I get that reference he made in the last song. He's like, oh my god, I'm like, we really had like that moment. It was literally the first time I hear something from Beartooth live from a band in Trinidad and Tobago, but it was also the first time I met another Beartooth fan in Trinidad and Tobago. It's very rare to see a fan of such, well, in terms of Trinidad, obscure music like hardcore, which I think is punk, not metal. Hardcore is punk more than metal, but it's like, it was so great to get it in a local concert and to have a connection with another fan on a specific thing that most other people in Trinidad are not going to get, and it was so freaking cool, man. It's so freaking cool. And when he was talking about our mutual love for Beartooth, he said like nobody else get that reference, boy. It's like how much time he have any song and nobody gets it, and I got it because you know these fellow freaking Beartooth fans. After that set now came up Klavium, 2-man thrash metal band, love it, thrash straight, and then came Skullfox, which was the headlining act from the UK, and they say there's a sludgy alt mix, but they sound more alt to me, and it was good. I really like the heavy parts of the songs, but sometimes the soft parts kind of come over. It harmonized with the heavy stuff that it was doing. It was the most fun that I've ever had in an event, and I'm very glad that I went. And I think what would have made that event even more better is if Celestial Boone and Lynchpin had their performances at Metal Maze and did it exactly like they did at Mortal Coil over there. That would have made this concert like the metal concert of this year, like the biggest concert of this year. The venue was awesome and all too. I love the way how they set up the stages. Like they had something in front to stop people and them from coming up on the stage or climbing up on the stage, but at the same time it didn't hurt them or anything, it didn't impede them or trip them or would cause somebody to hit their head on it or anything. The setup was very nice and beautiful. But it was by the ocean, so yeah. Right, now time to talk about the unfortunate part of this festival. I love this concert and I really wish it did succeed, but part of the reason why it didn't is, one, the advertising. I found out the week that this concert was going to happen that it was going to happen. It would have been nicer to find out this months in advance. Like, imagine if around Mortal Coil was advertising, which advertised itself, I think 2 or 3 months before the actual event. It would have been nice if Metal Maze advertised itself like that. Now, granted, yeah, looking at one of the posts here I have on Facebook, and it came out on January 28th, but they didn't really do any kind of like guerrilla marketing for it. Unlike Lynchpin, which was like constantly marketing on all socials about Mortal Coil. Constantly. That is one thing that helped affect the turnout, because the turnout there was sparse. It was like about 100 people for the most, which is sad for a regular concert, but for something that's being billed as a festival, that was even more sad. And it's a shame because this concert did deserve the type of crowd that Lynchpin had. Another thing that affected it is, of course, the location in Rockback on the Bay, Chagaramas. I'm sorry, majority of the metal and the rock fans in Trinidad and Tobago hailing from south, so you have to find a good neutral grounds to do it on. Do it somewhere, well, not fucking center of excellence, because that place is shit. Do it somewhere where you could have like a compromise between both north and south people to go it. Like, if it was by Rick's, it would have had a better turnout. If it was by the Himalaya Club, it would have had a better turnout. Where else again, boy? Like, I don't know much venues in Trinidad that could be a good neutral ground, but I'm pretty sure somebody else could, if they can help me in the comment section of this video. Another thing that affected the turnout is the fact that how they had a pre-show in Skyview Lounge. I don't think they should have had a pre-show. I think they should have just had the main show. And my personal opinion on that too is the fact that how Metal Maze was a combination of 2 soft, 2 medium, and 2 heavy bands. To the average rocker in Trinidad and Tobago, I'm not saying metalhead, but rocker, because Trinidadians mostly have rockers than metalheads that would go to this. The heavy stuff would be just too heavy for them. It would just be a turn off for them. That is why, for the most part, Trinidadians have to hype in their concerts. It's a sad truth about concerts in Trinidad, but I hope that maybe with the next Metal Maze Festival, if there is a next one, that they do a lot of like advertising and they get a better location and there is a better turnout for it. I would love it if that proved me wrong on the whole live, because it had mostly medium to heavy bands, people not attending it. And I think the one good thing that came out from this event being sparse is that how I get to headbang as much as I want and mosh as much as I want, and I met other fellas that was like these new young kids and them that wanted to headbang. I even teach a kid how to headbang properly so that he wouldn't hurt his back or his neck, and it was just the 3 of us, and then eventually 2 of us just headbanging, and then eventually we start our own little 3-man, 4-man mosh pit here and there. But it was still fun. I had a great time there, man. It was like the metal event that I would wish to go to all the time and have it be approved of and have it have like the big crowd that Lynchpin is getting at. I hope that how the sparse crowd didn't discourage the creators of this event Inten from like doing more. I hope they just figure out the marketing and the venue aspect of it. And I'm glad that I met like a lot of new people there, a lot of interesting and friendly people there. I headbang throughout all the sets. Guys, to tell you how good the concert was, but to be fair, I is normally a person that is headbang to every single band that come up on stage, because like I say, I just want to keep the good vibes going. And yeah, I do think this event was better than this Mortal Coil because it had the better venue in terms of stage setup and the better lineup in terms of the acts. Did it have the same kind of showmanship as this Mortal Coil in terms of like their Celestial Boone and Lynchpin acts? Kinda, like I think Skull Fox and I think Beyond the Animals or somebody else, or it was Psychic Envy that had the showmanship, similar showmanship thing going on, like a similar crowd work thing going on. But you know, there's not really much you can do when there's like only like a few people and them there. It sucks that it was a bust, man. I really wish it wasn't a bust, but I loved it, I enjoyed it, and I hope that there is more in the future. But anyways, that is all I have to say on the matter. Laters. Right, so these my plan out for the motor coil video. I turn it into a little boat. Let me see if he will float. Nah. I'll have to do shit with one hand. Put in half-ass. Sing, no sing, no sing. Oh, that fun. Here we go. Ah, fuck. Went sideways, but yeah. There it is. Ah. Breeze blowing it.